Now, Kay was a very pretty girl. Still is a very pretty girl. Um, we were like the blonde and brunette best friends. Um, she kind of went through this whole journey with me, and at least saw what was happening. She was also one of the first people to tell me that something was wrong. Um, because she was really the only one that talked to me. So at this point, we're still living in a small town. Uh, let me paint the scene for you. The house is the state that we mentioned before. My hair and my skin and my hygiene is the state that I mentioned before. I want to share with you a memory that I had. I remember one day at school, it was like time to get a lice check. Um, like when the nurse pulls you into her office and she checks your scalp. Obviously, not great for a girl that had hair matted all the way down to my scalp. Um, And when the nurse said that, she was mad at me and she said that I had to go home and brush it. And if I couldn't brush it, I had to get rid of it so she could check my scalp. Um, it's really unfortunate when I think about that because I skipped so much school in elementary school. Um, it didn't raise any red flags. The only thing I eventually got flagged for was truancy, but that was amended by my mother very quickly. But it's like wild to me to think that like you have this kid. I guess that's the point. You grow up to be the version that would have tended to the childhood version of yourself. If that makes sense. My brain just did brain stuff. But like, if I were to see a little girl all alone in baggy clothes that smelled awful, hair matted to her scalp, I would not get mad at her. Anyway, I don't know why I felt the need to say that. Just another testament to how every single person in that school district that saw me and my brother B failed us. So time goes on. I remember there is Kay and I were on the corner of the street because I lived on the corner of the street, and we were playing, and these guys came driving up on their bikes. I think they were like a year older than us. And they started making fun of my weight. Because at this time I was coping with all of my negative feelings by eating because I didn't have anything else. I was eating all sorts of junk food. Like my mom would get like the stuff from liquidation sales, so it was all sorts of junk food for cheap. I don't know at this point if it was like almost expired or what. That doesn't matter, but that's what I ate to cope. And these boys all like were making fun of me and calling me fat. And then one of them stops, lifts his shirt up, and he said, "It's okay, Taylor, because I got some chunk too." And I'm aware that they were all insulting me, including him. But like in that moment, any modicum of validation was enough to make me feel better about it. Um, and that's what that did, even though I know he was being an asshole. But it left a big enough of an impact for me, that when that boy passed away when I was a teenager, even though I had moved away, I remember I was out shopping and I had to stop into the bathroom so I could cry and mourn him because to me he symbolized one moment of kindness, um, in a really dark place. My chest still aches thinking about him because it's hard. Um, Anyway, so things continued to increase. So my mother enrolled me in the school the next town over. And you know what? Like, at this point, I must be like, it's the seventh grade. And I've, my aunt who, like I said, was abusing substances between the beginning and this time, had taught me how to wash my hair. Taught me how to care for my hair, how to wash my body. Um, and so I had these tools, and I was just like masking that shit in perfume, man. I would wear like real goofy clothes. I don't know how to describe it. It was like leggings under shorts. Like, who the fuck does that? I guess 12 to 13-year-old Taylor does that. But anyway, so I went to this new school, and it was really weird to be in this because I people didn't avoid me. They talked to me. I was the loud, and then I became like the loud one and the excitable one and the one that was so giggly I couldn't breathe half the time. Um, I think I was just drunk on the fact that people were giving me attention for the first time, and it wasn't attention that was like awful. Um, but where I was thriving, Kay was being bullied because she moved. Bless her heart, she moved. She started going to that school, so I want to be alone. Um, but they started bullying her, and she really only lasted a semester before she went back to the first school. And that's really when things started separating for us a little bit. Like, we were still very close, but we were going to different schools now, and I don't know how to describe it, but there was like space for the first time. And I did thrive there. I completed out the school year. I wanted to be there. Like, that was my school. I loved that place. I partook in volleyball. Um, and around the same time, I got my very first boyfriend. And Kay was dating that boyfriend's friend. And both of them lived in the same town that my dad worked, an hour away. So we were long distancing. Um, he was my very first boyfriend, he was very sweet. Um, I don't think either of us knew how to be people. We were young. It was like just the cute Ellie, like we hung out like I think like 3 times. Um, he was very religious, and that ended up being what the deal breaker was because I was raised in like darkness and chaos and where everything's okay to talk about or joke about. Um, and so of course I swore a lot, and I have a really dark but creative mind. So things did not end up working out for us. And I remember B ended up threatening him online, and he ended up blocking me. So now I watch him. He's happy. He's got his cute family. So I love that for him. But by the time all of that had ended, um the breakup with him ended up being the same time that my parents had to relocate to this town where my dad worked. And so not only was I moving to the same town as my ex-boyfriend, who thankfully was going to a Catholic school, I was in the same class as the friend that Kay dated, um, and I didn't have Kay anymore at all because we were a town away from each other. I feel like this is when things really started getting dark for me. Um, I say that like my entire childhood wasn't dark. That's when things start getting like mentally dark in a way that is like profound and clarifying. It's not just this dull feeling anymore. It's not just this, oh, okay, that's how things go. Because, like kids don't know, like they don't know any better. But at this point, I've seen other people. I've seen not healthy relationships, but I've seen other functional families, and they don't look like mine. Um, so now I'm about to enter an era where I slowly gain that sentience, that awareness, not only of what I'm living through, but of things that are happening to me. And all the while, I am just being bombarded and overwhelmed and suffocated with these feelings that I don't have names for. And I'm developing these habits that I have self proclaimed are fatal flaws for as long as I've had them, that ended up being trauma responses. So I think my next one will be about that. Have fun.